Hi, thank you for welcoming me today on Rock Sun Spiritual YouTube channel. I am Angie. I am a spiritual director who helps people with wellness coaching. And on Wednesdays, I focus on the social dimension and primarily parenting. And this week, each day, my video is centering around divorce. So I'm going to talk about some aspects of needs that children have when they are going through a situation where their parents are divorcing or their parents have already divorced. So the first thing is that children need a loving environment. And it's wonderful if both parents focus on that loving environment, a respectful, healthy environment for children. But remember that you are only one part of the equation and that you can only do your very best. So making sure that you are doing and addressing what a kiddo really needs, not necessarily what they want or what makes them happy, because sometimes what kiddos want is not the best for them. One of my kiddos would prefer that we have candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So obviously they need healthy nutrition, and so we limit how much candy comes into our household. So, but it's about giving kiddos what they need. And part of giving them what they need is a space that they can safely talk about their emotions. Sometimes I think people just think it's the parents who get divorced, but the kids are in the midst of it. And so they have feelings about it. And sometimes it's helpful for kids to understand what the cause is for the divorce. And sometimes they don't want to know. And sometimes adults can give too much information. But there can be a lot of pressure if they see families that are intact or families that have the structure that they really want. And so that can make them really sad. It can be really difficult to go to and from both households. There can be changes in how people parent, and that can be really difficult and stressful and confusing for kiddos. And sometimes people are wonderful co-parenters, and so kids do not experience anything like that. But it's really important to check in with kiddos to figure out what they are perceiving about the situation. And even if we think that we're giving them a certain type of message, that might not actually be what they're internalizing. So checking in with them at all possible. And if they're going to be vulnerable, because it's vulnerable anytime we talk about our emotions and our feelings, is to try to honor their needs as best you can. Sometimes the divorce is going to happen, and there, even if a child or one or even both parents don't really want it to happen, if it's going to happen and you can't necessarily change that, there are some things that you could hopefully do that would help children. So if they have a lot of tension and confusion, and when they come back, they're feeling really grumpy, what is an outlet that they can have that they can enjoy to get rid of some of their tension? And so you can't necessarily change the other parent's home, but thinking about what you can do to help that child when they come back to your home. But it's really hard for children that they have no control over their situation. They can't control where they live. They can't control what happens with their caregivers. And so if they're going to be vulnerable enough to talk about their feelings, is really try to address their needs as best as you can. And so if we just let them express their emotion and then we get defensive as parents, which is really difficult because, most parents do not want their children to be hurt in any way and don't want to be the cause. So there can be some guilt, there's some emotions that can be going on with us as parents, which is really important to work through your own emotions and make sure that you're as healthy as you can possibly be emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and all those dimensions of wellness. So that way you can address your kiddos' needs, but also just know that you're not going to be perfect and the situation may or may not be what you had hoped it to be, but just helping yourself and your kiddo the best that you know how to do that. It's really important for kiddos, like I said, to have love. And through the way that most kids feel love is through a certain love language. So Gary Chapman is an author who talks about the 5 love languages, which they are deeds, doing nice things for other people. It is about giving somebody compliments. It's words of affirmation, quality time, doing things that they enjoy. It is about physical touch, making sure to give them hugs, cuddles, and it's also another love language is gifts. So figuring out what your child needs to experience love is really important, because we all express love in our certain ways, and then we also receive love in our certain ways. So overall, it's really about having a nurturing, safe, emotionally expressive environment for your kiddo, if at all possible. And if you don't feel like you are a person who can really talk to your kids, maybe through your own emotion, maybe because of your own struggles, maybe you're just not a person to talk about emotion, is trying to think about that way that your children can have that support. So it could be through counseling, through a group for kiddos of divorced families. It can be through a friend, another family member, whatever that you can do to allow your kids to talk about their feelings, and then addressing their needs as much as possible, and providing an explanation for what things are happening and why they're happening and how they're happening that's developmentally safe and appropriate for your kiddo to understand that it is part of their reality and it is part of their history. And then making sure that kiddos have outlets that they can enjoy their hobbies and feel a lot of joy, because it is a stressful, it's change. And even if it's positive change, there will probably be some situation of it that will be difficult. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that this helps you reflect, for you to learn, you can grow and thrive. Thank you.